Yes, sir. Shashidhar sir can.
Okay, I'll be basically trying to cover a few topics. First, primarily, I'll just give a small introduction about advanced mechanical services. Our company is called Advanced Mechanical Services, and that's what AMS stands for. I'll also talk a little bit about emerging technologies and how we went into this new areas of development and technology innovation areas. I'll give you applications about 3D printing across the globe, what is happening today. Talk a little bit about waste to wealth concept or precious plastics, and then I'll just give you sort of a snapshot of the machines that we are manufacturing also. So basically, Advanced Mechanical Services is the company which is purely in the automotive segment. We have been working in the automotive segment for quite a few decades actually, and we specialize in making cars. We design the factories to make the body of a car, basically. The whole shell of a car is manufactured. So there is a lot of automation. And so, since we are all from the robotics background, and since we are all ex-ABB robotics people, uh, this is a natural area where we are all working in the area of automation and robotics. And this is the whole group working in the automotive segment, because we completely do everything from planning till the whole factory is up. So basically, this is the expertise of the company. I don't think these are all much relevant, but I'll try to move fast because I would like to share more on the 3D printing and the applications of additive manufacturing. Some of the lines that we design is what it is, and they design lines for Renault, for Daimler, for Volkswagen, for almost all the car manufacturers in the world. We have been working together, and this is we also do the designing a line basically calls for making a whole process of how the line is made. So we do a lot of robotic simulation. We do discrete event simulation. We check the whole line that we manufacture using simulation softwares. Then we ensure that these factories are going to be manufacturing the cars according to the cycle time and the quality that the customer expects, and then only the whole car is going to be started manufacturing. So these are all some techniques by which we do it. So we do right from controls engineering. We design the controls, the PLC architectures, the line, complete line design, the cell architecture. We go about with the power distribution, the safety zones, how the utilities are going to be used in a factory. We design the PLC programs for each and every station. We do all the HMI screens for human machine interface. So how the operators are going to work in the factory. We also give on-site support. We do the robots PLC programming, and we actually do have the complete Siemens TIA tool itself. So we do everything in this. Primarily, we are all into the automation technologies. We work a lot with these companies. We do a lot of automation with Siemens, Mitsubishi, Rockwell. We work with on safety devices, sensors, I/O connectivity, etc. And we integrate all these systems, different robots, different PLCs, different control systems, different actuators, different sensors. All this goes together in making a factory. And this is what we have been doing for the last many decades. But you know that what happens normally in an industry of this kind is the business is not normally continuous throughout the year. This is a cyclic operation. Always there will not be business. There are ups and downs. Cars are new cars don't keep coming always. It comes once in 3 years. So there is always a down period. And then when there's a recession, the automotive segment gets very badly hit. That is when we were all struggling at one point of time in our organization to see what to do, and then we started doing some sort of internal analysis to see how we will be able to survive the recession. And then in 2010 we started working towards thinking about new technologies, and that is when we came about trying to make analysis on where we should go ahead and what should be our direct area of future the company should work towards. And then we saw the areas of robotics, smart manufacturing, artificial intelligence, IIoT, 3D printing. These are all some technologies which are emerging. And then we went into a little bit of more depth and tried to find out why these technologies are coming up, why this would have a great impact in the future. And then we found that people want personalization. They want everything personal. When they see a mobile phone, they want it to be with the color they want it to be personal to themselves. They want a car, they want it something unique. Even they want the number plate to be unique sometimes. They want to have things. And not only that, things started become collaborative. At one point of time, before the year 2000, we didn't even have emails correctly. We couldn't even send an email to our US operations. So everything had to go by, either you send it by post, all the drawings and things like that. It was very difficult to send it across different continents and work. So this started changing. The internet started giving us opportunities to actually start working together. So we had an office in US, we had an office in Cologne, and all of us started working together, and we could make collaborative working. This actually brought us into new technologies, and there are newer products which started coming, which are more intelligent and to help our complete revamp our way of thinking and thinking. These are the main reasons why these new technologies started emerging, and why these new technologies started this, because the people wanted. And then we found out that there are many industries which actually want to start. When I go into the 3D printing is one vertical which we selected. Apart from that, we are also into the IoT and other things. But today I'll try to focus a little bit more on the 3D printing domain per se. In this, we did realize that it was called at those point of time as rapid prototyping, and then there were some cases which are personal in nature, like for example dental, healthcare, jewelry, education, audiology. These are all personal things, and this is where 3D printing came into the picture originally. And then not only that, 3D printing actually was able to come up with different materials. It was able to work in the conventional way of manufacturing. We are all used to see everything is in metal, everything is made out of machines which are standardized. So everything can either make it rectangular or make it circular. So you have a lathe, it becomes circular parts. We have milling machines, grinding, whatever, it becomes rectangular parts. So we're always tuned towards thinking either square or circular. This has been the norm for centuries and centuries together. In fact, this is what had to change. And 3D printing brought this whole what you can say, explosion of thought processes where we can start designing and thinking not square and circular, but in different shapes. And not only with steel or metals as such, but with different materials, including resins, nylons, thermoplastics, fibers, carbon fibers, ceramics, everything could be 3D printed. So the same technology and the same machine was able to work under different machines, different shapes, which was not commonly possible under the conventional manufacturing technology. And that is why it became very disruptive in nature. It's a transformative technology and used for production and maintenance. And this had a great opportunity for companies like ours, or company, or anybody for that matter, who wants to become an entrepreneur, to be in this domain, because this is going to be the future. What we have also seen is this actually brought in a huge paradigm thought process difference, where you can start designing without limits. We can start designing without thinking about circles and squares. Normally, this is what we always have, for manufacturing, because that's the conventional way of manufacturing, calls for circles and squares. Everything we normally tend to think like that, but instead of doing subtractive manufacturing and removing metal out of a block or something, once you start thinking of adding it part by part, then the shape, making a shape doesn't become difficult. So the more complicated is the shape, the more easier it is to 3D print than subtractive manufacturing. So this actually makes very great advantage. You can reduce the manufacturing time. You don't need tooling also. You can just directly start printing. And you can, just like how we do printing of any part for that matter. And just like, people who actually try to make, artists, however they want to think about, complex geometry becomes an advantage. So traditional methods have to change. And this is what actually happened. So what we also saw was, not only in the traditional manufacturing, the whole methodology was, you have a 3D model, then you have 2D drawings, then you have dies, gauges, and then you start finishing the whole part. So you start making a whole line to make these complicated parts. So then once we came to the 3D printing technology, the whole thing started becoming different. You have a CAD model, you can slice the CAD model, you can directly 3D print it, and then take the part out and start finishing it. So you don't need to actually think about dies, machinery. You don't need to think about the process of manufacturing, and the whole thing is different. And this is what brings in a great advantage in the process of 3D printing itself, which brings in a huge benefit for manufacturing technologies. For example, parts which are going to be manufactured for launching and after sales and everything, you can directly print all these components. Every component that you can see on the screen is 3D printed. So this actually makes a big benefit for us because we see this is a huge market available where things can be converted from conventional subtractive manufacturing towards 3D printing or additive manufacturing. And this actually brings in a lot of development time reductions, savings in product development, savings in the manufacturing costs, production, prototyping. We are going to save everywhere. In fact, products can be launched much faster, process can be thought about much different in this case. Till the product gets developed, one of the biggest challenges that we always had in the industry was to establish a good process of manufacturing. But here we have come across a way by which we don't need to think about the process. We first make the product working product useful to humankind, and then think about a process for manufacturing. This brought a huge transformation, thinking itself change. And today, if you go into the market and see how these 3D printers have been used, hello? 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 Sir, am I audible, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. It was some participant.
Okay.
Mic
Okay.
was,
No issues. I'll continue. Sorry, madam.
okay.
I thought somebody interrupted. If you have any questions, you can ask me to stop and ask me. I have no problems. So this is a thing basically when we're looking complete industry-wise, how the segments are and where we are going to use 3D printing more, we realize that 3D printing is maximum used today in the aerospace technology. Of course, it is being moved more towards industrial machines technology, consumer, medical industries, everywhere. But this is what is the area where it is. We have to start thinking or bringing it down towards different other areas. Like, for example, we can see, especially which was the 3D printing technology, which was once upon a time mostly used for prototyping purposes, has been moving towards making functional parts. It was like making something just for a scaled down model or just to show how a house looks before it is going to be assembled and things like that. Today, it is not so. They are making complicated component parts itself, which can be used as functional parts, tested and tried out, and that is when it will be the benefit. So once you have seen over here the different areas again, you see in tooling components, tooling, we have seen that many of the patterns for castings can be 3D printed. And these patterns that with 3D printing directly can be used as a pattern, because you can see the once upon a time when you were thinking of castings, the whole area was you make a casting, you have to make hundreds of components, then only the whole thing becomes viable. So today it is not like that. I can make one simple, I can 3D print a pattern, directly take it and make a casting and check the whole casting. If you can make a casting one number, just imagine the benefit 3D printing brings into the different manufacturing segments across the areas. And we have seen that across the whole globe, when we see Asia itself is where the amount of 3D printing exposure that we are having or where we are coming about, you can see is just about 25-30% in the Asian domain. And within Asia, when you come and see where India is, we are just about 3.2% of how much 3D printing is being used. So, we are India is less than 0.5% of the systems delivered for education or for research and where 3D printing can be used. And it is changing. In fact, the technology has to go downwards today towards everybody, including school children should learn 3D printing, in my opinion. It's not that, at one point of time, only PhDs were working, or maybe, only high-tech people were working on 3D printing. Today, just a week back, we had discussion with some diploma college from Chikbalapur who wanted to bring in 3D printing in the ITI domain. ITI Cuttack is using 3D printing in that area. 10th standard students are beginning to use this technology, which is very much welcome, and that is how India is going to move further, and this is going to be the future of manufacturing or development itself. We have been working with many customers, and you can merging together. And as you can see today, situation where 3D printing has gone to a level where it has already moved away from just being just a prototyping part to a rapid prototyping part. Today, people are making functional prototypes, and I'm sure in the coming years, 3D printing is going to become a manufacturing by itself. It can become a manufacturing line by itself. In fact, one of the companies in US where I had visited, they have more than 400 3D printers manufacturing components directly using 3D printing technology. So this is where things are going to be changing, and that's going to be happening in the future. So the old way of throwing away scrap material, cutting away machine parts, and reducing and subtractive operations is going to, I think, vanish in the coming decades. So when you talk of 3D printing, I presume that you all know about 3D printing, but just for the sake of continuing how the whole thought process, I thought I'll just share it with you how it happens. When you see an object, for example, there is a cup. What you do is you take this object in a CAD model, you take it in 3D modeling, and then you cut it into slices. You cut it into thin slices of maybe 0.1 millimeters or 0.2 millimeters. You all have seen when you take a 2D print on a sheet of paper, the same slice can be printed, and when you print it, you get a print of a shape of a cup in the section, and then you start printing on top of the same thing again and again. You start building it in the third dimension. This is the normal way of 3D printing. And here you go, when you start making parts, and as 3D printing, there are different ways by which it can be done. You take a 3D model, you cut it into slices, and then you select the material that you want to print, use the 3D printing process, and then you do the whole operation and make the 3D component itself. One of the first and the oldest technologies came up into the 3D printing segment is called as fused filament fabrication. The type of machines which we build, and this is something very specific towards where technology is gaining to a very great extent. It's a very low cost technology, but a very, very powerful technology. Of course, the offshoot of this is basically from the welding technology. You can see welding was done for ages, where you have a filament, where you have a wire coming out, which is melted because of the current itself. The high current is given there, which melts the metal, and then you're going to pour it and use it for joining purposes. Now that the same technology is being used, where you're going to get a filament or get a plastic filament passing through a nozzle which is heated, it melts, and this fluid which is coming out of the nozzle is being put on a layer by layer fashion to get a 3D model. So this is fused filament fabrication. This is one great technology which has actually changed, or rather made a huge impact towards a lot of development that has happened in the manufacturing segment itself. The second technology that has come up is called as SLA, which is actually usually it is selective laser application, wherein you have laser as a source, and this laser is being exposed. The resin is used here. The resin is exposed to a laser source, and once the laser source is once the material is exposed to laser source, immediately it solidifies, and once the material solidifies, then you see that becomes solid. So then the bed goes down, so the new resin is covering up the old resin, and then you expose it again to the laser, and again it solidifies and sticks onto the previous layer where it is already solidified before. So this cycle of going on, solidifying and refilling is the process which is used over here to print resins. Next is you have different ways. Not only use laser as a source, but you also use direct film itself. So you can you can use a laser source and make a whole picture to be thrown at one shot at different intensities, just like a TV camera. TV where you get different layers and different colors coming up, and that's how you can start printing even color objects of different in resins. And then then the next technology came up for bioprinting. We also make bioprinters. So here is a technology wherein you use it for bioprinting. I'll talk about bioprinting later, but this is another method which is being used today, which is very much used in the biological industry, or used for bio research or bio parts manufacturing. The other technology which has come up basically is direct energy or binder jet. This is purely a technology by which heat or different sources, direct energy deposition, which is used basically just to solidify metal powders. You have a metal powder, use laser or use ion beam or some source which is going to heat it, melt it, and the powder, just like we use resin for making SLS parts, SLA part, here you use metal powders, you solidify it and do it by additive manufacturing. This is another technology. SLM, where you have selective laser melting. So here you have a laser source, you have the powders coming, the powders are melted and put deposited layer by layer again. Different technologies have come up: metal injection molding, metal multi-jet fusion technologies. HP has come up with this multi-jet fusion, where you can start printing just like can print multiple parts together and make different things. Then composites have come very greatly used. This technology is used very greatly in making composite materials, especially when you want to mix two different materials and print them together. For example, you want to make a brake lever or any component for that matter, you can use carbon, which is very hard, and then you can use plastics, which can hold the carbon fibers together, and together a mix of carbon and the plastics together make it a very hard component. It can become as hard as aluminium actually. So we have machines where you just use carbon fiber and plastic together to give you very hard components. So we all agree now, getting to know what all technologies are there and how exactly it is changing the world, we have to move ahead and see that we can actually get the great advantages of 3D printing. Number one, just to recapitulate what I've been telling till now: design without limits. You can make any design, any shape, it can be used. Reduce cycle, so you can reduce the cycle to design and test and manufacture the product. Getting a product launch is the best, or very fast with this particular technology. And you can make different components of your shape and size and your choice, and development becomes very easy. It's just the idea which is required. Before, it was not the idea which was called for. Young come with good ideas, but it would have been turned on because it was not manufacturable. But today it is not like that. You have a good idea, you can get the product out. So it is idea which calls for basically, which has to come out from where you can become more innovative thinking, can bring up better and better products by way of 3D printing. Here is a thing where you can just, I thought of sharing this basically to bring in the benefits of additive and conventional technology. You can see the two components that are shown here. The original way of doing it is you laser gas cut this component, you put it together, and then you join it, etc. Today, the whole component is 3D printed, same strength, same functionality, everything same, but it can be 3D printed. So this 3D printed component works as much as the whole where you have to gas cut, you have to machine, you have to assemble the whole process, stress relief, heat treatment, nothing is required. Directly you can 3D print. That's the benefit of conventional versus additive technology. And 3D printers have been used in a variety of areas and domains. 3D printing, the same machine which is used for one particular application, can be used today for many things. You can see right from chocolates printing to ceramics, cements, electronics, circuits, metals, plastics, everything is printed on the same printer. This is the thing. We had 100 machines were required to work with different materials in the conventional case. Here, everything comes. Users. There were days when machining means it had to be a mechanical industry. It had to go to a factory where they have all the machineries kept and trained operators to use the machinery. Today, 3D printing is being used by a variety of people. Doctors have greatly benefited. Designers, sculptors, anybody can use it. It becomes a very easy tool to use by all the people. Doctors can start using a 3D printer on their own to print different components of skull or bones or orthopedic parts, for example, and even teeth, for example, can be directly 3D printed. Today, this is a technology which is used to a very great extent, even for supporting lumbar pains and supporting structures. Exoskeletons are being printed using 3D printing. Braces, for example, this is one big application which has really helped. As you all know, the shape and size of every human being is different. And today, if you see, these particular braces are not standardized for every person. But here, 3D printing helps us make removable braces, which are customized for every person's shape and size, which brings it where personalization is great. And this really helps to a very great extent in the medical industry. Similarly, prostheses, amputment, legs are not there. These are all 3D printed. So you can scan the leg. Once you scan the leg, once you scan the shape of the leg, the parts can be printed exactly to suit that particular shape. And this is the biggest benefit. And these are all very, I can say, rudimentary stage of development. And now technology is slowly coming up in this area. And the people and students and youngsters of the future who are all there should get into areas and come up with unique ways of designing components and making parts. This technology makes it very easy to realize their dreams, which was very difficult before. For example, there are companies which have started also who started making components for leg support itself. People have an ankle twist, or people have one leg little short and long. Many applications, many uses are there. You see using 3D printing. And dental implants. Yes, I'm just showing you examples of medical. I'm going to show you more. Dental implants, you all must be aware, it is how beneficial it has been today in the industry. And this has changed the total way in when dental care is done. And in fact, today for people who are getting backaches, they have been using different soles in between their legs. And these soles are 3D printed because the thickness has to change depending on the person's, the difference between the length of their legs has to be compensated using the sole. And that is where it is being used to a very great extent. The leg aches and back aches are going. Not to mention chocolates, of course, personalization. Everybody loves to see chocolates of different shapes and kinds. And so one can print it. Even today, houses can start printing chocolates of their own kind. They can design and do it however they want. So that's the biggest benefit of 3D printing. Cake printing again. Their technologies are there. Same machine, it's just to utilize it in a different way. And there's a huge opportunity for people to come up with new ways of printing and manufacturing all these things. Different style components. You can see, sculptures, idols, for example. And today we have been working with some people from Mysore. Actually, they are making sculptures. All these idols required for gods and all. No? They are printing it. So this is where things are moving. Where once upon a time they used to have a sculptor going and making all those beautiful sculptures. Today is all 3D printed. And not only in plastic, it's all 3D printed in metal, 3D printed in ceramics, 3D printed in many different materials which I have shown before. You can see some of these things are 3D printed, very complicated, or very unique architectural shapes. Architectural students themselves can start thinking about shapes. And today when they want to build, many times we see architectural students who travel across from here to different places to look at old temples and those structural places. But today we are not seeing architectural beauties coming up in countries. I can see only buildings coming up, but there are some things like that where architects can really work and use 3D printing to make beautiful structures and beautiful shapes, which becomes very unique and very easy to manufacture. 3D printing and art and making dolls, for example, is a huge business area itself which is available. And with 3D printing, you can use very compatible material. You can use materials which can be reused again and again. You can make it out of ceramics, you can make it out of porcelain. All these materials can be printed in 3D printing, and using resins and different things, different types of toys. This itself is a very huge market by itself. I'm just talking about opportunities where we can start thinking and making and coming up, where the future of students who can think about different ways by which they can develop these technologies, use this technology to make beautiful products. We're working with a company called Delta Wasp, and this is a company in Italy actually, and they have a unique way of making houses. It's come up with where you can start 3D printing houses also. They construct a scaffold or 3D printing machinery, and they start building houses in 3D printing. Not be late before you can see this technology is going to be used or be coming up even in countries where where population is high. Definitely housing is a big question mark, and so this will be a technology where it can be printed very easily. Aircraft components, nothing to mention. This has always been there. The first place where it started 3D printing was very successful in this area, and the aerospace industry actually helped us develop and move more in this particular technology. Fashion, this is also a very personalized area. When people want fashion, people can come up with new products. One can start a business overnight and have one 3D printer, and they can start making designs, and they can start selling it in Amazon and things like that. There are many people who are actually doing this area of business also. Different jewelries and different fashion accessories. And here there is no limit of thinking. Innovativeness, the creativity of all the engineering people and all the science people today can be very great. Ceramics, we can again use ceramics for printing. The printer what we manufacture, actually it can be used for printing different type of ceramics. In fact, one of the biggest things is today different shapes of components are in China. If you go and see, even those chopsticks they use today, they're using it for 3D printing in the houses itself. They use and throw chopsticks, and so there is a huge benefit. We were like one of the lucky companies to support during the COVID period. In the first COVID period, we got an order from the government of India actually to print some valves, which we have supplied it to government Agave, which went into the ventilators which are made by Bharat. Those components were made. Some of them were made by us. So it can be used very greatly. 3D printing is one technology used for making different types of valve. This is the valve which was 3D printed by us. The development would have taken time. And the automobile, nothing to mention. The new products which are coming, the new cars that are going to be made, everything, they are looking at 3D printing and developmental time, which was originally 3 years. Today they're crashing it down to less than maybe a year to come out with a new car because of 3D printing technology. Complex ducting, for example, if you want to have different shapes and all, just imagine the time that it calls for actually making these ducts and making shapes of these ducts, which is very unique and which is required, which has to have all the aerodynamic properties built into it to give you the cooling of the whole engine. This is all done by 3D printing and testing. And different components of the whole vehicle, different components can be aerodynamically designed. Motorcycle components, for example, manifolds, engine covers, all these are 3D printed. And today with the new electric vehicle concept coming up, and people can, I'm sure, will come up with a way where they can make their own vehicles using kits and 3D printed components. This is going to come in the near future. And this is one area where you will find it very, very beneficial. This technology itself, oil and gas for sure, filters and things like that are used. Assembly automation. When you want to make assembly tools, in the prototyping or in the initial stages, making a tool itself is a big challenge. Take months to make a tool. And here you can actually make tools which can be assembled or 3D printed directly and used, for process. QR code connectors, for example, or we can see all the electrical connectors that we can see. And these connectors are again can be made unique, can be made special, and can be made for testing. You can see today the pins, number of pins that you want in a connector is also dictated by some companies only. Only that many connectors and that many pins you will get. But there are huge applications which may call for a different types of connectors which we can 3D print and make directly. All these, you can see some of these connectors have been developed by 3D printing itself. And also headlights, because it's plastic, automobile. We've been working with a company called Minda, for whom we are making these headlight lamps, etc. So primarily, if you just try to bring in all the applications that I showed just now, put it in a table, you can see that the maximum of this technology used in industrial services, used in consumer electronics, and in mobility, transportation, etc. You can still see there are many domains where it is still not being used. You can see over here only towards the consumer electronics and industrial services, especially spares maintenance, etc., is where 3D printing has been used. But it can be used much before that also. There is a lot of areas where development is required and where research is being done today in the areas of metal making, metal components making, or ceramics, or cements, etc. So there are, it is going to change quite a lot. Design optimization is one area where thinking will change. There's something called DFAM. DFAM is design for additive manufacturing. A normal way of thinking is everybody used to make regular product design calls for making components which are easy to manufacture. But with DFAM, one starts thinking for additive manufacturing. There are some ways by which design has to change, and you can see a conventional or a common part which has been designed up, which is shown over here, how it starts getting transformed into a 3D printed component. So this is what's called design for additive manufacturing. There are many softwares today which allow for design for additive manufacturing. A simple an air conditioning duct, for example, can be thought about, and how you are going to lightweight it, how you are going to optimize the topology, how you can make an FEM and make sure it still uses the same strength, and then you print it and get the final component after 3D printing, instead of making it by fabrication, instead of making it out of different methodologies that are required. And this is metal printing components. You can see over here some of these components which were used where we can directly print the component instead of making a casting, instead of doing all those things. 3D printing metal component itself has been of great benefit. Some unique areas where you can see it is really going to be used, like for example, making valves, etc. You can see one very thing which really came up to notice is this particular thing. It is a handrail for braille. You just imagine in every railway station, you can see a handle. I took a picture of this actually. The railway stations, where the handles, blind people cannot see. Here is a thing which you can 3D print this thing and just stuck on top of it, where a person who's just touching it will come to know where this particular train is going to, or where this road is going to take us. This is the benefit which was not normally possible, which is now possible by 3D printed components. Again, castings. making patterns, making directly ceramic molds where where casting can be done directly. Molds itself can be printed today with sand and with different types of sands and casting sand, for example, or that POP. You can directly use POP also for printing. And some of these examples or shapes that have been printed and actually done by 3D printing, and how we'll be able to use it in industries for in the foundry basically. And this is an application which is again showing you some of the things which used in the forming industry. From casting and comes to forming, the dies and the different shapes of dies that we need, all are 3D printed. And this is all metal 3D printed. You can print titanium, very easy to print titanium or stainless steel and things like that. And that makes it very useful actually. Some of the GSS or the GIS terrain models. You can see today this is being used even by the Indian Army or many armies across the world to get directly the shapes and the GIS or the terrain models itself. They take the print because they want to really pinpoint to get the GPS coordinates and see how the terrain is to make overall planning. I think 3D printing can give a very good visual print of that. It's very fast and low cost actually. Other thing is to make fixtures. You want to make 3D printing fixtures for clamping or want to do some welding operations. Immediately you can start 3D printing a fixture itself and start keeping metal components for welding. Or then you want to use it for assembly components. You want to assemble a whole fixture. You can use 3D print a fixture, use it for assembling on top of different pipes need to be assembled. For example, what is shown here, the brown color one is the fixture. It gives the orientation and the shape of the pipe. It can be used like an assembly fixture for alignment purposes. Conventional process makes it very difficult. You can see 3D printing, you can build in different lightweight tooling itself. And these are some of the companies with whom we have worked and where we have developed these fixtures, and we have given them either machines or developed technologies or given them different types of solutions where complicated ways of working have become very simple. Some of the soft jaws, 3D printed again, boring jobs. And companies even in the automotive, Opel have worked together to make components, to do the checking fixtures or to do some fit and to check the fitting and everything. Directly you can print tooling, and that can be used for assembling and checking the components. If you want to make door sealing, you want to see how the door works exactly. There's a door seal assembly jig. And again, CMM fixtures. You want to make a component which has to put on a CMM. When the fixture is actually 3D, which the component is kept. And this is the same. If you want this whole component, you can see below is a fixture which is being 3D printed on which the component can be directly done. Save a lot of money here. Similarly used for different components on the lathe. When you want to see different tools that you want to hold on a lathe, different types of tool holders and tool jigs can be directly 3D printed. Again, production support tooling, thread rolling, and things like that. Effectively, shipping becomes fast. It becomes you have to spend less, and you get a very great benefit of doing all these things. These are the different applications that I have been. I thought I should share with you, giving you an idea about all the types of areas and domains where this process can be used, where the people can start thinking about new technologies and come up. Now I would like to share a little bit information about the machines that we manufacture. Basically, we manufacture 4 types of machines: industrial research machine, laboratory research machine, biological research machine, and budget research machine. All these machines have a common thread. All these machines have a common, what you call a yoke system, where you can have hot flow heads, cold flow heads, and warm flow heads get attached to the same machine, which I will talk to you a little bit more in the next coming slides. What this is basically that these attachments will be able to help you in doing different operations. There are many accessories to the machines. I'll tell you what accessories we have, the materials with which we can print, and I'll also talk a little bit about waste to wealth, how we can connect and maintain, and things like that. We have a factory in Pune actually. We have about 2,500 square foot where we actually make these machines out here. But primarily, and we also work with many of the government institutions, and we supply machines for research-based institutions across the globe. Not only in India, we've also been supplying machines elsewhere. We have a factory in US also, and in Atlanta actually, and we also make machines and supply it from there. Basically, one concept we want to show to you before I go into the depth of 3D printing machines per se is about precious plastics. Precious plastics is a unique concept which we came across because we all know plastics is a big problem. One technology what we wanted to promote as a industry partner to the education industry or to the consumer industry is bringing up a new concept by which we should be able to all the household plastic, community-based living, all the household basically by us and told that there are basically 6 different types of categories and all household plastics are being used. Everybody can do this business. Huh? They can do this part-time, they can do it within their houses, they can think how they can do it, but fundamentally they just need to understand this concept of precious plastics. And then these components which we are going to get, we have categorized it actually and try to see whatever you buy comes under this guy, either they are PET or HDP, PVC, LDPE, PP or PS. So how to identify what this material that we get are? If you just light it, there are different ways. You can check it by just burning a little bit. The different colors will show what type of component this is, what material it is made of, what organic material it is made up of. These are all household plastics I'm talking about. I'm not talking about engineering plastics used in the industries, household plastics. And then we have different ways. It put the small pieces of it in alcohol, it doesn't sink. Some of them sink and some of them will sink in oil and water. So you will be able to, by flotation, by floating properties, you can identify these parts. And then what we built some very simple low-cost machines. This basically is not our prime business or area, but this has been one of the areas just to promote students, promote household people, promote communities, bakeries near the house, or apartment-based living people, just to promote some sort of what I can say is corporate social thing where you build these machines and give it at a very low cost for people to conserve or rather make recycle plastic. That's the whole idea. So what do you do for waste to wealth conversion? We have a very simple thing called as a shredder. You put plastic into that, it becomes powder. So first we identify the plastic. We know what type of plastic we have. Suppose there are 10 houses in an apartment. Everybody starts giving their waste and segregated and kept in their houses. They can use a common shredder to powder it. And people are there to buy powders itself. If you have a bottle or if you have some plastic with you, you have to pay money to recycle it. But if you have convert it to the powder, people will pay money and buy that powder from you, and you get revenue out of it. Today, bakeries are keeping our machines, and where people go drink some juices, they throw it there, and the same bottle is recycled or shredded, and that shredded powder is used for many other things. Like we make sheet press, we make an extruder where you can make different components extrude out of it. The powder is then put into an extruder, and you get extruded components. The same powder is put into a sheet press, and you make tiles out of it, which can be used in the compounds, which can be used on top of the houses, especially when you want to make sure that the houses don't leak. You want to make waterproofing. Use a sheet press, take the same powders, plastic, and then you can convert it to useful parts. We have different hand injection molding machines for very small colleges and schools and household people itself can start using it. Dyes are shared between people to make components, making phone covers or anything required for their houses can be made directly within their own communities and can be used. And this is basically ways to convert machines where you can create different components, give them like chairs, like you want to convert, make bars or make something like components, what I'm showing you, different types of parts, different types of components which are used, bricks or carabinas for putting your ID cards or phone cases or dome closers, tiles. Many things are being made using precious plastics which are from waste to wealth concept or made from household plastics. In fact, one of the most important thing people have seen, broomstick holder also is made today from recycled plastic. These are all very useful things. You can see over here that there are different types of in hand mold plates, for example, again made from recycled plastic. It can be reused and scrapped or extruded. And so this is the concept of precious plastics. I thought I'll just share it with you. Some of the children, some of the young graduates coming out of college want to start an entrepreneurship, or rather at a home level they want to start some parallel business. Household family members want to start something. Instead of wasting all these things, they can conserve it. Very low cost, there's hardly any investment, and again as a community they can join together and do it. Now I'd like to bring your attention to the type of machines that we manufacture. Primarily, if you really like to know more about the machine, please go to our website also, hyrel3d.net. www.hiral3d.net. Gives you a lot of information. I'll talk a little bit more about it. But our machines are capable of making different components, and for industry level, for laboratory level, and biological printer is also what we make. How we do for industry level, you can see the machine is slightly big in nature. The machine is pretty accurate and comes in 2-3 different sizes. Comes in 600 by 400 by 500 as the Z-axis height. That is the total build volume that you can do. 600 by 400 by 500 That is the total size that can be printed. The pretty big components can be done. There are a lot of attachments. There are a lot of what you call add-ons, accessories, which this machine can take. And apart from just doing 3D printing, it can have different attachments for printing plastics, an attachment for printing ceramics, an attachment for printing resins, attachments for printing metals. Different attachments are there by which you can use the same machine for printing different types of components. Apart from that, we also have laser attachment on the machine. It can be used for laser operation. Suppose you want to do laser cutting of foam, or laser cutting, or you want to cut thermocol. All that can be, paper can be cut, leather can be cut on these machines. And this is the benefit. We also have a spindle tool where you can do some simple operations such as drilling, tapping, milling, etc. Where if everything cannot be done by additive manufacturing, some simple operations can be done by subtractive, for which you also have a spindle tool attachment. And all these options are on the same machine. So this is the whole concept what I given for all the R&D or education system, a zero waste system. As you can see over here, the same shredder what I spoke to you before in precious plastics, and the same plastics filament, we have adapted it towards making filaments. Today, powders are, if you pay 70 rupees, you will get 1 kg powder. Want a 1 kg filament, you have to pay 1,200 rupees. That is the cost of the filament. So if some college wants to buy a 3D printer, we supply them the 3D printer, we supply them the filament extruder, and we supply the plastic shredder also. So it becomes a zero waste system. When the children start learning 3D printing, they have to print, and all the plastic components which gets created can be shredded, can be again converted into a filament, and again they can start 3D printing. So this whole cycle goes on and on. So there is the investment becomes very, very less. This is the biggest benefit. So the zero waste system for R&D and education segment is what we have built. And today we're also trying to work with Idea Labs. They also want to use our concept. Many colleges are applying. Government funding is there also for utilizing 3D printing technology in colleges, where we give them a complete set of instruments and complete set. We create a what you call the center of excellence, like a lab, where they will use a 3D printer, shredder, plastic filament extruder, and the children can learn all the technologies of printing once the system is in place. The smaller machine for laboratory research, knee type design. The other one was a gantry type. This is a knee type design. And the materials with which we can be printed on our 3D printer, for example, you can see using the extruder that I just mentioned, the hot flow extruder, you can print everything right from ABS, which is normal plastics, towards engineering plastics like nylon and PETG, etc., to also printing polycarbonates. And the highest temperature melting plastic today available is PEEK. Our machines can extrude even PEEK. That means it will melt and print PEEK also. PEEK melts at 415 degrees centigrade. So the temperature at the nozzle should go up to that temperature, and printing should be very, very properly optimized for printing PEEK. And PEEK, why it is very important? Biocompatible material. It is a very good engineering plastics and used in aerospace technology, and primarily used in the medical industry. Today, PEEK is being used for making bone parts, which is put inside the body also. That is why it is being very, very useful. You can leave it in the body, it's not poisonous at all. So that is the best. Before they used to put titanium rod and all when there's a fracture. Today they're trying to print out of PEEK, and that can be scanned and printed exactly like the way they want. Similarly, cold flow extruders are things which are used for printing different types of clays. You can use it for printing porcelains, plasticines, precious metal clays, resins, silicones. Medical industry, silicone is used quite a lot for implants. Silicones can be printed, rubber, sugru can be used. All these are printed in the cold flow extruder. You also have warm flow extruder, where you heat it, where you heat the material, it melts. And once it becomes liquid, you pour it out layer by layer. And then the whole part is made like waxes. Once you heat a wax becomes liquid. Then you use it for printing. And that's used in a warm flow extruder. So we have developed more than 60 different types of extruders for different types of materials and different types of applications. Just to give you a snapshot of some of them, I'm just showing you these slides where we have an extruder. This is an extruder, and this goes across all machines that we build. So here you can have up to 250 degrees, one type of extruder. You can see the filament goes in, it melts, and this is the extruder that you use for printing. The next one is up to 450 degrees centigrade, used for printing PEEK. The third one is basically using soft materials like Ninja Flex or things like wax filament, which cut. So you have two motors. So you have MK250, prints up to 250 degrees centigrade. We have other types of extruders out here. Again, these extruders, we have three categories. One made out of aluminum, one made out of plastic, the other one made of stainless steel. These plastic extruders out here is something you fill inside this liquid, gels, liquids, epoxies, or any type of material which are cold in form. Put it into the extruder, and then you can put it on the machine and start printing it. And then UV cure is there. So when you expose it to the UV light which comes below, immediately solidifies. Get photopolymerization happens and immediately solidifies. And this this helps in making the components solid immediately. You also get it with a heated jacket. So you fill up the liquid inside and you heat it. Wax can be filled inside, it heats it, convert to liquid, and can be exposed towards printing. These are the different, this is an attachment for the machine with aluminum extruder for cold flow and warm flow. Similarly, we have instead of aluminum, we also have stainless steel extruder. Food grade printing, ceramics printing where you require a lot of torque. These are the type of components that are printed using this ceramic extruder. It comes basically again with UV curing and also with got a heating attachment to it, and then it has an extra torque motor. Stainless steel, it is made of pure complete stainless steel. If you want to make chocolates, you want to make any type of thing, can be used. And then you have ceramic syringes. These are syringes which are used and are normally for injection purposes in the medical industry. Same syringe, disposable syringe is used here, where you can fill it up with different liquids. You can fill it up with like Vaseline like liquids. You want to use biogels, all that can be used for printing out here. This is called a syringe disposable system. And then where any liquid is used one time, if you use resin like araldite or something, you use it, you have to throw it, you can't clean it sometimes. So this is when you use syringe and you use it for printing components, and then you can throw it. You have a static mixing head, you can mix two different things like the hardener and the resin for immediately solidification, and that is also used. We also have attachments like the diode laser, which can be used for cutting foam, cutting leather, cutting paper, cutting cloth. So different research. Today, IIT Delhi has purchased some of our machines for doing textile. And so you'll be surprised to hear textile engineering is using our machines quite a lot. They are buying our machine for doing research on textiles, where you can make wearable electronics so that you can print conductive inks on top of textiles, and then it can be used for a variety of applications. A lot of research is being done today, and our machine is used for research purposes. And so we have made a inspection microscope which automatically is attached to the machine and triggers taking pictures during the process of printing itself, so that if somebody wants to make a project report and submit it or make a paper presentation, he gets directly all the images at different layers and things like that. That is being used out here. And again, we have a magnetic build plate, box furnace for sintering purposes, especially if you want to work with ceramics and metals. We also give a box furnace, which is used for sintering to make those raw green parts into solidifying. Come up with a new technology called as this powder feeding attachment for making metal parts. Here we call it the micro diffusion process. This micro diffusion process, you print powders like iron powder, you mix it along with, you print it layer by layer. The sand is used as supporting material, iron powder is printed, and then you put filler material on top, and you put the whole crucible into the furnace, and when it's taken to the temperature, the infill material, it percolates down by micro diffusion. It doesn't wet the sand, it wets only the iron powder, and you get solid components. This is made out of powder feeding. So these are all attachments like making conductive inks for printing labels and stickers. You use for conductive inks. You can print. You have a circular attachment for printing. You have an IoT attachment, continuous feeders, and then we also have baking filaments, bending attachments, turning milling attachments. For education purposes, we have pen attachments, so student can learn how to use G codes and M codes. To train students itself, we have pen attachments so they don't break the machine, they don't waste material, they can learn the programming first. And so we have a pen attachment. We have a 40-watt laser on the machine, which can be used for cutting and doing different laser applications. We have a OPC UA attachment on the machine. So OPC UA is a way by which you can get data out. If somebody wants to do machine learning, and the data will be available remotely using this OPC UA server, which is there on the machine. So the data of printing can be gotten remotely, so people can do more research and do machine learning, artificial intelligence, and things like that. So this is basically the different types of components that are there on the machine, which we have printed on the machine out here. Ceramics and PEEK and different types of materials are there. Please go to our website called hiral3d.net. There is something called published papers. People who have purchased our machine, they publish a paper, then we give a link on this particular site. If you click on the published papers, you can see papers which are published from across the globe where 3D printers have been purchased by us, and they are making research and they're publishing papers. So colleges and students can really take advantage of this, get the immense knowledge that is there already on the website, and try to do more research in these areas and develop more, which is really going to help humankind. In fact, some of the research done even by NASA on our machine is put on our website. I would like to now talk a little bit about the biological research machine which we make. And this machine is used for biological research. But basically, you are going to print. It's a very small machine. It's a 100 mm by 100 mm printing size, and where it can print at a very low temperature, into which we have the same syringe device where you are going to put the biological liquids and print inside what he calls a bio well. This is basically used for tissue engineering. If somebody wants to work on tissue engineering, this is the machine that they need to get. But what is bio 3D printing? Maybe a little bit I'll tell you. There are three different ways by which these gels are printed. First, use extrusion principle, which we are using, of course. This is the technology what we use, extrusion based bio printing. We also have inkjet based bio printing and laser assisted based bio printing. This is not something what we are using at the moment. But for tissue engineering, we use extrusion based printing. And that's nothing but you mix polymers and then you put the cross linkers and print the material by extrusion like this. And then this is used for making what are called as scaffolds. You print a scaffolds. If you go to the website, more details are given, and you can see different types of material that are printed. These are all bioliquids. You can print human nasoseptal chondrocytes. You get this liquid actually. It's a standard available in open source material. You can use it on our machine, use it, print it in a well, and you can create all these different types of cells. This is used for research, and this is something is a new technology where a lot of development is going on. Biomaterials are there which can be purchased and printed on our machine. And you can see over here some of the other things like graphene, collagen, hyaluronic acid. They're used for making different components. This is one of the many colleges, in fact, IIT Chennai, IIT Guwahati, IIT Delhi, IIT, many IITs have purchased our machine. In India itself, I'm talking about. Across the globe, in fact, almost most of the research people are doing in 3D printing, they are buying it for medical purposes also. What exactly is scaffold? If you see what is scaffold printing, you can see over here, you can slice it in very thin layers. It's like scaffold, just like how you build a scaffold around a house for painting purposes, you build a scaffold layer by layer by layer. It becomes like a sponge. Why you have to do the scaffold type printing? Once you print the scaffold, into this you can put directly the biogel. The biogel which goes into the scaffold immediately gets in the bioliquid, in the bioatmosphere, it becomes very fertile for multiplication. For example, let us assume you have a virus or bacteria. We take the blood of the patient, put it into a bioliquid, is very fertile for multiplication. Within half an hour, it will multiply and it will tell you what it is. Before we used to do what is do as culture. 3 days it will take for culture. So if you do a Vidal test to find out if he has got typhoid, it takes 3 days to find out whether he's got typhoid. Only treatment starts. But here in a half an hour, you'll come to know. And we are proud to say during the pandemic, we sold one machine, bio printer, to Wuhan Institute of Virology also. This is what, the benefit it is. So people are using this to a very great extent. Scaffold printing and for research and for finding out things. And we have made the software and everything on the machine to immediately create the scaffolds and do the 3D printing. This is the speciality that these are softwares which we have developed on the machine, which enables for 3D printing. And in 3D printing, especially for bio liquids, it not only has to heat the bed, plastics, you have to heat it. Everything has to be heated and then it becomes liquid. Here, biogels, you have to go sub-zero temperature. You have to make the temperature below zero. Then only you should print in that area, sub-zero thing. So we have a refrigerated syringe device, and we have a refrigerated bed also made, which has up to 405 nanometers. We have a ultraviolet ray, which is going to be used even for killing all the bacteria and things like that. And so this is the attachment which goes along with the machine, by which we'll be able to use. We have a mixing head, and of course there are many attachments. You can see some of these components that we have printed out here. using the silicones, etc., can be printed, and many of the components are printed. Some of them are pretty useful. One ophthalmologist came up for some picture he wanted for checking, and one of the things, we scanned the body of a person just to make some cold treatment. So to this thing, you can scan the body of a person, make a print exactly to the shape of his leg or hand or back, and then you can give hot or cold treatments for backaches, and you can also use it for treatments. You can see when a wound is there, when the plaster and the bandage is put, how much pain one would have undergone when the bandage is removed. So with this, it is non-contact. There's no contact between the wound and the bandage itself. The new type of bandage mechanism that will come up. So this is what I just wanted to submit to you all, and tell different applications and things like that we have developed and been working on. So thank you all very much. uh, If there's any questions, please, I'll be very happy to answer. Hello. Hello.
Yes. Over to the panel for questions, please.
Any
Thank you, sir.
questions, please? You can ask participants. Sir, I have got one question. You were telling about this artificial intelligence can be incorporated here. So how is in the mechanical part, you're going to incorporate this concept of artificial intelligence, sir?
Yeah, the whole idea, madam, is to get the data out for printing. Suppose you're printing some component from the machine, then you want the data. What is the temperature at which it's printed continuously, how it is, because printing takes long time, it takes about 30-40 hours, for example, to print a component. The data is coming out from the machine using the OPC server, and this data is used for machine learning. For example, you want to optimize and make the prints better, or you want to improve your quality, or you want to check what is going to happen once the part is printed. You want to do any analysis mechanically or chemically on the component. To get the data out, OPC US server is used, which is basically a mechanism which is provided on the machine to get the data out for machine learning or for doing any sort of building any algorithms for printing itself. This is what it is.
Any questions? I think there are no questions, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, madam. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. So thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation and highlighting, linking our this new concepts of this artificial intelligence, which is which is in boom now. So we were thinking how everyone tells that it is very useful in mechanical industries, but how is it we were not aware. So today we got an idea, like how this concept can be adopted in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, I want to tell about this. Can you hear?
Yes, yes, madam. Tell madam.
See, my daughter is a mechanical engineer. She's using same artificial intelligence with machine learning. She's using our software. She's doing PhD. Something she's doing. She told me that machine learning only I'm involving with our software. She said. I think that I would like to tell our resource person.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
So, in the outset, I thank the college, the management for giving us this opportunity. We look for more opportunities to be associated with your institution, with the faculties, and with students. So please be in touch with us. We're also starting internship programs, which are practical internship, where you'll be working on these machines, which we just now said, and you'll be creating some component or some product. And what we are going to do is functional internship, 3 hours in a day for a week at our factory in Peenya. There is a prior registration and a fee for this. You can get in touch with